Welcome to Matriculation Day, and welcome guests of honor, our freshman class. At schools and colleges around the world, each new year starts either named or unnamed with a convocation and the traditional academic practice of introducing the newly arriving freshman class. And in that tradition today, we welcome the new matriculating class of 2020. There are normally keynote addresses, blessings, ceremony. We honor this tradition. A small school is a caring community. We look after one another. As a way of expressing this looking after and caring, in 2010, we introduced our matriculation ceremony to Grauer. It's an age-old practice, though. Coming-of-age ceremonies, typically for people around 13 through 15 years of age, as a way of developing healthy communities, are one of mankind's oldest traditions, going back some 30 or 40,000 years. When we welcome our students to high school, we also welcome them into a community that is committed to certain values, such as trust, respect, kindness, and resourcefulness. The golden rule. Communities become stronger when they commit to shared values and attitudes for civility. I want to talk about transformation for a second. Transformations are required for us at various times of life. Being born, starting school, leaving childhood as we are entering young adulthood and high school, sometimes called the initiation of scholars. Graduation from high school, leaving home, marrying, seeing your own children leave home, midlife changes, preparing to die. Every community needs ways to acknowledge these milestones of our lives. Done well, some of these passages become moving, stirring experiences, like some weddings we've been to. We shed some of our past. We embrace a newly emerging self. We all know of indigenous, native, or tribal ways of creating ceremonies for such events and times of lives. Fire rings and drum circles, sacrifices. But how do we do this now? How can we connect our spiritual and largest purposes with our life at school? A better question is, how can we not? You're leaving your familiar and confined childhood and middle school behind. You can never again be in the world the same way. In starting high school, we're opening ourselves up for new possibilities, for finding new mentors beyond our parents, for finding larger than ever life purposes, preparing to leave home. But how? As many wise men have said, the path is made by walking. There will be much of that next week on Expeditions. We are so honored to receive all of you who are starting on this path called high school. This is a momentous time, a time of experimentation, plan-making, connection-making. The Lakota, who we visited a few years ago on Expedition, taught us one of the most valuable lessons of these times. They say, "Matakwiasan," we are all relations. We're all related in our school through our common purpose of spending the next years as teachers and students of each other. And in doing so, we know you will establish two of the most important things in life: independence and lifetime connection. Transformation is not always welcome. However badly we know we need it. Some students or parents do not want emancipation. It's hard to let go of the past. Today at school, we refer to this as letting our children go to grow. The ultimate independence of every student is an essential role of all schools and parents. Ironically, this creates a more permanent connection. You are now at the threshold of a beautiful, challenging, rich 4 years. You're only a student for 4 years, but you're connected to us as alumni forever. My first advice, Matakwiasan. You're never really alone. So you must never feel alone, even if you're terrified. Adolescence and coming of age can be a volatile time, not just for you, but for your parents and guardians. You're not alone. Any sense of separateness you have is an illusion. You may throw it out. We're all relations, especially in a small school. So that is two parts of a triangle. You, your school. There's another part, which is nature. We take care of ourselves, one another, and equally of the natural world surrounding us. This endangered, beautiful world needs a loving hand, for sure. This triangle makes our school community resilient and strong despite constant challenge. This triangle will produce great graduates. Reciprocity. Some questions, some big questions for you. What are you leaving behind in coming of age and beginning high school? Will you have a new attitude? What do you bring to our high school that will give us all strength? Will your presence make the school much better? Are you willing to sacrifice and work really hard for the greater good of this school and for the natural world? Before matriculation, I want to mention just three more things: myths, symbols, and ceremonies. Myths illustrate big life models, such as the bravery of Odysseus, or reverence for our elders who have wisdom, or the bond of all living things. Every known human civilization has such myths. Myths have been told through the ages about things like matriculation and coming of age. Many heroes are born or tested in these times of leaving the past behind and embracing a new future. In 1991, 7 brave students dropped everything to become part of a completely new educational endeavor, the Grauer School. And now this has become a straight line that has led us all the way down to you. There are, of course, more stories and myths, powerful ones. Don Kish, who I introduced you to recently, Dana and Draperyland, the suburban wagon and all its journeys. So we have created myths right here. Myths often seem to cover people leaving one phase of life, like childhood, and entering another realm, like adulthood. Second, symbols. Since you're coming of age right here before our eyes, I want to suggest some things that are symbols that may be with you your whole life. Things that could easily have continuing meaning for you. The gorilla. May you always be Grauer gorillas. The big fireplace. The gazebo. Our logos and gear. Our weekly assemblies. Cafe nights. Grauer Palooza. The big G sign out front. And the motto, learn by discovery. And what about resourcefulness? Will that ever be the same again? Some of these images will remain that are special to you your whole life after high school. Perhaps there will be a magic expedition or campfire that takes you to a new place. Ask any alumni. Ceremonies. There have been many types of matriculation and initiation ceremonies through time. They can include experiences with time alone in silence and reflection, in nature, fasting, wandering, from fraternity rushes to vision quests, walkabouts, quinceañeras. Some coming-of-age ceremonies include music, dance, and art. Some ceremonies include natural elements of earth, fire, water, and air. Sometimes there are masks and costumes. These are all ways of healing, purifying, fortifying, preparing us to cross over to the next phase of our life and of our education. In this case today, you are making a transition into more serious scholarship. If you were born a Hopi Indian, instead of a sweatshirt, you might get a sweat lodge. Your ceremonial father would weave for you a special poncho-like garment, daubed all over with white clay and with wings and feathers. You would be introduced into the society of the dead so that you might seal the connection with your ancestors. We're not going to do that today. If you had been born into the Maasai tribe in Africa, a hut would be built for you outside the cattle kraal. You would put on the clothes, ornaments, and weapons of a warrior, the sword, the spear, the club. You would don a cap made of the stomach of a goat, a headdress of ostrich feather and cape of vulture feathers, anklets of monkey skin and goat skin fastened to your waist. You would stay in the hut alone for 4 days. Females would have a very different passage among the Maasai, as they have in almost all traditional coming-of-age ceremonies. Their ceremony typically involves the menstrual cycle. Some young women are taken into the woods or forest or mountain for days or even weeks at a time. The Uti girl is taken by a grandmother or female relative to a cedar bark wickiup in cold weather in the winter, given empowering instructions. Across cultures, we've been able to learn less about female initiations, which appear more secretive. In any case, most ceremonies tend to give voice to nature, spirit, ancestors, or the unseen. Every known human civilization has had such ceremonies. Similarly, the young Jewish youth says at the conclusion of the bar or bat mitzvah, "Today I am a man," or a woman. As for all of you, at the conclusion of this program, I hope you may acknowledge, "Today I am a gorilla." And don't ever underestimate the infinite power that humor provides us at all of life's passages, which can be trying. In conclusion, for 25 years, others before you have left deep marks upon our school. They have found great teacher mentors. They have mentored younger students. There have been Resourcefulness Award winners, great scholars, surfers, artists, and athletes. They have crossed into young adulthood in ways they will always cherish. Said one alumna, "I frequently think about how the philosophy at the Grauer School really allowed me to develop during that critical time." Said an alumnus, "At the Grauer School, I have become exactly the person I want to be." Who will you become starting today? What will a new high school identity mean for you? The Grauer School Matriculation is your welcoming to high school and to humility, to gratitude, mutual respect, excitement, confidence, and the alma mater of a good many people we are lifelong friends with. Next week, you will embark upon your first exciting high school expedition. High school may well be the most fascinating and transformational adventure in your life. We mark today as the start of the story. Something is happening. We are always here for you. We have confidence that you'll have an inspirational and successful journey. I hope you will keep wondering, what am I casting off? How will I know if I'm successful in this journey? I'll try to make sure these questions are alive and introduced again at your high school graduation. At that point, I believe you will have some of the answers, and then you'll be leaving. Congratulations to the class of 2020.